Welcome to the Milk Bar. 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 Welcome to the Milk Bar.
Welcome along to episode 678 of the Milk Bar 678. Jason Forrest here with you as ever. Coming up on the show this week, we've got a bit of dating from somebody who's helped out on Celebs Go Dating. Anna Williamson will be letting us know what's going on and how to avoid the ick, that point when the relationship has gone wrong. Also, Gary A. Wales joining us with River about his film Rage. It's released on DVD and the recent awards that they've already received. I believe they've got 4 in the bag. He'll be letting us know all about that as we chat with him from Oklahoma. Plus, we'll be talking poetry with Andy Summers and finding out about the real world of Robin Hood, much more like what was really going on, as we have a bit of a natter with Srteve C. Davis. That's all coming up on the show this week. Gary A. Wales has been celebrating success for his film Rage. Raising awareness is a big part of it, but also awards are coming in too. Now, as we speak, it is a stupid time of day for both of us because he's currently over in the US, and he'll tell us a little more about that in around his time. But first of all, I'll welcome to the show. Hello, sir.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm just about okay, but I think we're both a little tired. It's the wrong end of the day for both of us, isn't it?
Yep, 6:30 for you, 12:30 for me.
Yeah, but we will cope. That's the important part.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, you're over in the US at the moment. I know you've been into Canada, and you've now headed down to somewhere that's more traditionally known for its filmmaking.
Correct. I'm in Oklahoma, my second home. I love Oklahoma. I've been here many times, and I think I've built such a name for myself here in Oklahoma. Yeah, it's just I love it here. It's great.
But we can't talk any more about the project that you're on at the moment, but we will as you get close to that. But meanwhile, I mean, just a few weeks ago was the premiere, and you must be so proud of the responses you've seen to Rage.
Yes, Rage. We held the premiere in April and end of April, and it was a success. There was many people that showed up, which was unbelievable. The support was amazing as well. We got a lot of media as well, which was fantastic. But yeah, no, the premiere went really well, and then we went straight into film festivals afterwards, and we were quite shocked actually, because within the first 3 weeks, it was crazy. Awards were just flying, and it was great.
And it's so good to see that sort of reaction as well, particularly when a film has a meaningful topic of conversation.
Right.
It's so well made. And having spoken to several of the cast with you, it's nice to see a number of different projects that get this sort of recognition. And in the likes of groups who are maybe a little closer in geographically to where we are compared to what you're doing. I mean, you've been down through the Midlands and worked on projects in the past, which is how we know each other. But it's so good to see that there are so many people just being creative, and particularly at this, the 2 years we've been through, it hasn't stifled anyone's creativity at all.
Right. I think it's actually helped. It's helped us, like, it's kept us away from being on film sets, and I think it's allowed the creative industry to be able to think more about what's actually out there. Yeah, it's helped me a lot, definitely. I think like over the past 3 years or whatnot, it's hearing like completely different sides of trying to like deal with rules and whatnot. It like built up like anger and that for quite a lot of people, and I think that helped my creativity, especially with Rage, and the character that I played as well. So yeah, I think that all helped as well.
So who has picked up awards from this?
So right now we have won 4 awards. We first won Best Inspirational Short Film. We won that one at the monthly Indie Shorts. And then right after that, I won 3 Best Actor awards at 3 different film festivals all around the world. We were in Turkey. We had one in Greece, in Athens. I can't remember where the other one was. Yes.
This is all part of the international nature of the film industry, as it's always been, but it's allowing more people who are putting their work out there, often as independents, to be able to gain the sort of recognition on an international stage, which they deserve. Now, I mean, you're not unused to success anyway. You've been involved in projects globally, so it's no shock, to be fair, that when you are involved in a small independent feature like this, which is there to raise awareness as much as anything else, it's we expect you to do well.
Right.
But, I mean, the fact that there's so many people globally doing this is just the nature of the way in which you can get these things out there today and share a message.
Exactly. I think a lot of more projects are coming out that are starting to share messages, which is great. Some for the wrong reason, some for the good reason. It's about hit or miss, really. But I mean, me and David, we've obviously came up with the next film, which is going to be Victim, which is basically the opposite that you would see in Rage, and then we're bringing in a few other topics as well into Victim. It's basically the female victimizing the male this time, through drug abuse, domestic violence, and forced rape as well. So another strong, hard-hitting piece. We are going to be stronger with this one. It's probably going to be more graphic, and it's going to be longer as well. We're aiming for about at least 60 minutes for this one. And
through that and extending sort of timescale that you're working with there, still within the short film category. But again, I think this is something which helps get a message across in an impactful way very often, doesn't it? Right. Epics are there for a reason, and they're often big action movies. But when you're telling a personal tale, because of the level of emotion that you have in there, it's like a 4-hour film, but it really is condensed and compacted into that period of time.
Exactly. I mean, people did want a longer film for Rage. It's too hard to do. It's I think even if we did film a 1 hour and 30-minute film, I think we would have ended up cutting it straight down anyway, because it's too strong. Me personally, I couldn't comfortably sit in a theater and watch 1 hour and 30 minutes of that. I just couldn't. It was too intense for the audience, let alone for the actors who are portraying it, because you certainly need to take into consideration what you're putting your actors through, the roles they are experiencing. They may not suffer that physical and emotional violence, but you do need to ensure that the reactions that they are portraying from it don't scar them. We hear that in the industry, and too many actors really do put themselves through the mill when it comes to these things, but for our benefit, and it's having the support structure behind that that really is necessary. I mean, I definitely felt it. Obviously me producing it, directing it, co-writing it as well, and also trying to play that character as well. I was going through so many different arrays of emotions. We shot it in 3 days. And the day after our wrap day, I still felt like I was in Alex's character. It was scary. I literally had to shave off all my facial hair, shave off all my hair, and send a picture into the group chat and be like, yo, I feel free now, it's crazy. I don't know, it was just weird. I'm not a method actor. I don't want to be a method actor, but it felt like I was doing that character, because I've never experienced a character like that. I've never done a character like that. And I'm actually glad that I did, because I learned so much from it, and I can see it's definitely paying off, which is nice. So, yeah.
And so we're both through the messages out there, the support that you're giving to the charities that you've been working with, the funding from the film and the DVD sales, and of course the rights which when this streams too, and you've got the fact that you've started a conversation, which is the important things, and that's what I know you like to do with your work, because of the importance of making sure the right message gets across, and where people understand what others are going through, and that's really what the whole film and entertainment industry is often about. Yes, there's escapism, but you've also always putting yourself in the place of everyone, whether it be Bruce Willis in Die Hard, or something, some fun comedy you go and see. It's that's all what it's about. And
Right.
long may that continue with your work as you get some absolutely amazing roles, which I know you warrant with your talents. So where can people go to not only find out about all the awards that will still keep coming in for a good while yet, we know that, and also be able to pick up the DVD itself?
So you can actually see all the awards and laurels and stuff like that on the Rage Movie official website, which is ragemovie.co.uk. You can follow Rage on social media. We're on Instagram and Facebook, Rage Movie 2022. And yeah, you can check out our IMDb page as well. It's a bit harder to find on IMDb. You would probably have to go through one of the actors' pages to find it because there's so many Rage movies. It's crazy. But yeah, that's where you can find it. And of course, all the DVD sales are going to Victim Support Scotland to help those in need of domestic violence help and whatnot. So it's just something that me and David felt strong about. And I think the cast and crew that we definitely brought on board, they were all with us. And, you know, we're all very proud of this piece that we've definitely made.
Absolutely. Congratulations on what you've done so far. It is such an important message, and so essential that people understand what others are going through. And the worrying part is this is, you know, it is born out of a part of a reality in society. This is not fantasy. It unfortunately is somebody's everyday life. So many places across the whole of the UK. On a more fun side of things, though, where can we go to see what your work you're doing and what's going on with you?
Cool. So right now, I will talk a little bit about why I'm in Oklahoma. For people that do watch my IMDb and stuff like that, you'll notice that there's a production on there called Rise in Hell. That's a feature franchise film that I'm currently creating with a lot of people from Oklahoma. It's based in Oklahoma. One of the reasons why I'm here is I'm running through a ton of meetings, bringing new people on board, allowing the Oklahoma industry to boost its way up, and hopefully get as close to the Atlanta, Los Angeles kind of vibe that they're going for. Because I mean, in the last 3 years alone, there's new film studios being built here, which is great. I adore Oklahoma so much, and the people here and the crew and the entertainment industry is absolutely amazing. Like it's like a one big happy family here. It's fantastic. So yeah, we're working on Rise in Hell right now. We're not filming, but we are going through a lot of meetings, stuff like that. So
well, continued success. Hopefully this project comes to fruition reasonably quickly. What's your Insta and your Facebook, please, sir?
Cool. So all my social media is Gary A. Wales. My website, which is garyawales.com, you can actually see the awards and stuff on there also that I've personally won, and along with the resume that I hold as of today. It's all fully updated and ready to go.
It's constantly updated because it needs to be. There's so many different projects. But good to see you as ever. Thank you for joining us and for doing this is a daft time of day for us both. And I look forward to your next work in the not too distant future. Oh,
for sure. Can't wait.
Now, where is the love? 25% of people across our city catching the ick, spelling the end of a relationship. But it doesn't have to be that way. We've got Love Island on the telly, which puts us exactly in the mood for this sort of thing. Dating expert from Celebs Go Dating is Anna Williamson, who joins me now, who can advise on all of these things. Good afternoon to you.
Oh, well, good afternoon. I also like the fact, Jason, that you started that with, probably unbeknownst to you, the title of my latest dating and relationships book, Where is the Love?
So
well, thank you. That was a beautiful link up. So
your press team are doing wonderful things. There we go. So I mean, this is the book. but what is happening here? Because relationships kind of we're both kindled and fell apart during lockdown, but now we're in a more normal environment. Are people still feeling that love?
They are, but I think we absolutely saw people take a hit when it came to dating and relationships during the pandemic, because the dating scene pretty much flatlined. Mm-hmm. We could only really date people virtually, and it did find its own space, but people absolutely I think the best word to use is rusty. They're feeling rusty coming out of the last couple of years. And the same for relationships. Relationships were challenged more than ever over the last couple of years. Some thrived, some didn't survive, but we are in this place where we are, as you say, coming back into some form of normal. So people are back in the dating scene. They're now perhaps a little bit more distracted within their own relationships, whereas we have spent more time, if we're in a relationship, with our other halves, because we've legally had to, pardon me, we are now sort of going back to being busy again, and relationships can perhaps fall by the wayside. So yes, we are in the summer of love Island. I do Celebs Go Dating, and then today, I mean, I've teamed up with Woo Woo, the feminine care brand, which is amazing. We've done this brilliant research on this terminology called the ick, which is something that the young'uns are trotting out left, right, and centre.
Oh, we do love a good bit of youth speak, and because I mean these phrases are born out of what's going on as well, and the ick kind of covers it. You can tell it's not a good term.
It's absolutely spot on. Anything that rhymes with ick is generally not a good word. Sick. Can't think of anything else. But yeah, the ick is essentially when you have got being attracted to somebody to literally in a heartbeat being disgusted by them, and it's normally triggered by something pretty subjective, really. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder and all that. With the research that we did with Woo Woo, 1 in 4 people were experienced the ick. Women a fraction more than men, but personal hygiene was up there. Picking their nose. I mean, that's fair enough, I think, picking their nose, but lack of banter, lack of good chat, bad habits, all of these things were coming up as the reasons why people would be turned off in a relationship or in a dating scenario, and that is what the ick is. It's when you're suddenly like, ew, not for me.
Okay, so how can we avoid the ick? What tips have you got?
Well, it depends really on sort of, if you're the ick-y or the ick-er. Putting the spotlight inwards is really important, and asking yourself, am I being a bit too judgmental? Am I trying to strive for perfection? Am I being too picky? And the answer could be yes. And if the answer, and a lot of people are now, Instagram and social media and online dating apps, there's a lot of choice out there, a lot of noise, and often we just can't be bothered to invest in looking a bit more into somebody that's a bit more than face value, and that's a danger, that's a worry, because we're just getting to know people otherwise on a top line level, and we don't really get to know somebody until we do really spend more time with them, and then the act is dropped a little bit and we see that real person. So what I would say is invest in that person more and focus on the positives, not the negatives, which are likely to give you the ick. And if there are more positives that outweigh the negatives, then go with that.
Yeah, so be happy where you can be, but if the ick is too strong, feel that force and go your own separate ways.
Yeah, if the ick is, the ick, there are perfectly reasonable scenarios when that could happen, and it's perfectly okay for that person to not be for you. What I would say though is, if you do get the ick, just be kind to that person. You can move on and not continue something, and do it in a kind way.
Just tell them in the friend zone and make sure that they do remain friends. That's the important part. Yeah.
Sometimes the best thing to do is thank you, but no thank you.
Okay, well, we'll go with that. We'll see how people behave. Where can we go for more information on all of this and the ick itself?
Just head over to woowoo.fun, where you can find all of the information on our research, and also all the fabulous products as well.
Yeah, and make sure that you're enjoying yourself and your family and your relationship in the best way possible. We like a bit of woo woo, don't we?
We do indeed. It's a great brand. Loving it.
Dating expert from Celebs Go Dating, Anna Williamson. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Stephen C. Davis knows his way around the world of folk and writing, and he joins me now to tell me what he's been up to of late. Hello, sir.
Hello.
So give us some background to begin with, because there's plenty of published work out there by you.
There's, I think, about a dozen or so books of mine. I've been writing for about 40 odd years. But it was actually the lockdown that made me put everything together and go, right, I need to actually start publishing things, finishing off all these ideas. And the one I'm proudest of is the start of my retelling of the Robin Hood myth cycle, but in a folk horror interpretation kind of thing. And the book is called Lore of the Selvatici. And the Selvatici were, I think there is some historical mention of them in some spelling or another. And the idea is that they were either forest guardians, or they were a sort of poor man's defense group against the Normans and that kind of thing.
Because I mean, there's been across British history, tales of good and bad from on both sides, and it's the winners in history who always get to tell the story. And actually, there's often a lot more going on behind the scenes than many of us realise, and in particular with the tale of Robin Hood. I think once it was Disneyed, that was the point at which it lost some of its original story.
Yes, well, I think it was the 17th, 18th century when they started adding in characters like Maid Marian, and I don't know if Friar Tuck was an original, he was added in, but it's been gentrified for hundreds of years, and Disney have just kind of sweetened it and mellowed it and taken all the bite out of it. So I'm trying to bring back some sense of real menace. I mean, we're talking 900, 1,000 years ago. We're talking a community that lived in or near the forest. They were reliant on crops and animals that kind of a bad summer, a bad season would finish them off. If the taxes were too high, they'd be finished off. If they were caught poaching, they'd be lucky just to lose a hand. It was a grim, hard time. It wasn't all twee and soft and wonderful and lovely.
There were no musical numbers.
No, it didn't happen. And the idea of dancing through the greenwood in Lincoln Green, that wouldn't have happened either. It would have been layers and layers of patched clothing and rags and whatever they could find to keep warm.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, this is the reality doesn't take away from the fun that can be had. We are not trying to steal people's childhoods as we talk here, but what we're trying to do is bring a more gritty and realistic account, but equally, you've taken it just that little bit further.
Yes, I'm a great fan of Robin of Sherwood, the 80s series, and that was quite a turning point. I mean, even as a child, the Robin Hood myths always hooked me. Mm-hmm. The poor guy, the unrepresented, the outcast, whatever, fighting for a better world against hopeless odds. It's never going to be a happy ever after, but you can still have a lot of fun, and characters like Robin Hood can do things that we might only dream of doing.
And I think a chance to explore that, and of course the other works that you have out there as well, gives people a bit of an insight, not only to a time gone by, but also something inside your mind as well. And say it is that hook that takes you there, and it's been able to share these kind of almost addictions with these characters from the past, which must be really satisfying.
It's a wonderful thing to do. When I got into folk horror about 6 or 7 years ago, and I started then trying to put that together with Robin Hood, I looked at the character of Little John, and it's like, that is a really, really poor joke. You'd grown the first time someone who's 6 foot was called Little or whatever. Mm-hmm. But particularly as most legends kind of call him and describe him as the older ones say he's quite violent. Accepting a twee name as a joke, I'm not sure about that. So I did a little bit of research, and quite often in that era, there wasn't surnames as such, but there might be so-and-so from whatever town or whatever village. So it became John of Hathersage. But then Hathersage wasn't called Hathersage 900 years ago. It was Hearsage. So it became John of Hearsage, or Hearsage John, or just in the end, Hearsage. So I'd come up with a completely new character, Hearsage, that is actually still basically Little John, but he's a stone carver, and he's worked with also as a shepherd after incidents happened. So he's got a completely different background, and he prefers like using a hammer as opposed to a staff. But there's enough there that you can see this is just maybe a slightly radical interpretation of the old myths, just trying to get away from the romanticization version a bit, mm-hmm. and bring a bit more grit and fire into it.
And at which sort of point was this sort of thing started to be written down? Because we're going back, as you say, 900 to 1,000 years. There'll be chronicles which go back away, but how much has survived that really does tell the tale of these people?
I think the Ballad of Robin Hood was about 1300 or 1400 or something. And even then, it was speculated that it was accumulations of several different characters, or that the Robin Hood figure was kind of a bogeyman used against the Normans, kind of spirit of the forest, that if you stray too far, this avenging Anglo-Saxon or Celtic figure might get you. And it's just been added to piecemeal over the years, and each generation that discovers it reinterprets it like folk songs. You grow up listening to your parents listening to it, and then you express it yourself in a slightly different manner.
And that's how these tales have come to where we are today. And it's great to be able to read something a little bit different. And I would love to see the movie version of your book. I think that would be absolutely amazing.
That would be a fun one to do. I organise a festival as well. And at the festival, a friend and myself actually performed the first part of the book. Now, the first part is written in the style of an Anglo-Saxon poem. So it's not rhymed, it's alliterative, and it's repetition. And my friend is German, and we had one read through beforehand. And some of her phrasing was slightly off and timing was slightly off, but the two voices combined. And at times we kind of turned to look, and there was this lovely kind of this smirking glower between us. It was like, holy hell, we've got something really powerful here. And when we'd finished, it was about a 20-minute reading in all. A guy called Ash Mandrake, who's a musician, came up to me and said, "You've written a ritual." And I'd always thought, well, it's not just, but it's a poem kind of thing. It's a description of how someone in that era might have mythologized the arrival of this Robin Hood figure. But I thought about it, and it's like, yeah, it is kind of a ritual, and it's got power, particularly when it's performed live, because there are phrases and sentences that repeat themselves and then go off somewhere different.
The work that you've done here, I think, is one of those which is it needs to be discovered. We need more people to enjoy this, to see what's going on. Fingers crossed. Hollywood, maybe Pinewood Studios would be the best to look after this one. I think it needs that Britishness about it, and I say huge potential to take this to the next level. But for now, people can actually get a copy of this. How do they get hold of your work?
They can find me on Amazon. I'm in the process of setting up my own website, but it will still link back to Amazon because Amazon can handle all the postage themselves. Search for Srteve C. Davis or Law of the Selvatici, and that's Saelvatici, but it's easier searching for my name.
Yeah, simple as that. Srteve C. Davis, IS at the end, and it'd be fantastic to see that, and maybe a progression of the stories from this folklore time in much more of a realistic and gritty manner. But now, Srteve C. Davis, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Jason.
Andy Summers is somebody who is part of Words in Motion we talked about last year, and also was instrumental in making the bandstand come to life in Warsaw for their Festival of Words just a few weeks ago. He joins me now to tell me more about his work. Hello, sir.
Hello there. Good morning, Jason. Good to see you.
Well, good to talk to you again. And with so much going on at the moment, give us a bit of a rundown of what you've been doing. Because I know you were here, there, and everywhere just over a week ago with the work you were doing in Warsaw.
Yeah, well, the stuff I do is sort of pretty much wrapped around poetry. But last week was a big whirl because we had the first ever Warsaw Festival of Words. It was a kind of trial run for what we hope will be bigger and better events over time that shows that Walsall has got some fantastic talent, some great creative writers and performers, both in poetry and in other forms of writing and art. And it was pretty hectic for those days, but incredibly varied. The works that were performed, from plays through to straight, short, haikus by different people with different tastes. And the fact that if you were walking around Walsall, which gets a lot of bad press, frankly, from the wider media sometimes, and these are tough times for every town at the moment, and Walsall struggles with the best of them. It's fantastic to realise people were walking around in the streets, and on the Wednesday, for example, we were out there in the streets, suddenly stopping producing a poem, and reading a poem, and
kind of a poetry flash mob, and that brought it to life. And I know you borrowed performers from Woollen Hall and Wolverhampton as well, because you really were celebrating the whole Midlands. Walsall was the backdrop for it.
That's right.
And it's good to see the sort of arts sort of burgeoning in our area, particularly with the pressures that everything's been under. And so you want to become a bit of a mecca. I mean, Wolverhampton has its literature festival. Walsall now has its festival of words. Yeah. And I think all these things are so positive for our region, encouraging the creativity and getting people to talk. Poetry can be about having, as you say, talking about things, seeing what's on your mind and sharing it with others, so they get a spark to make them think too.
No, absolutely. And the fact that it is right in the heart of this town. And in fact, what I was doing on the Thursday in the park, I'm in the heart of an absolutely beautiful gem that Walsall has, which is its Arboretum Park. Mm-hmm. It's already been celebrated by other people. My daughter is a performer and artist, and she produced a film about the park, and we all provided different words, different poets, different people from Walsall. And you start to think, hang on a minute, this is a stunning little town, and then you discover it's a huge town. It's a town with incredible potential, and people, as I say, knock it and don't realise. Even last night, there was a gathering at a venue in Walsall called The Table, where people were doing musical theatre numbers in high quality, and I'm thinking, this is happening in this town. And yet I was recently discussing, because I get involved with local politics as well, and you hear people making glib comments about, I was in Walsall this morning and it looked like this and it looked like that, because it frankly is very difficult for the towns and their councils to make the towns look alive because of the fundings that have been cut, etc. But you hear this misery and you think, well, have you actually looked? Have you gone beyond just that first flimsy view of what's basically typical Britain of the moment, 2022, where yes, there could well be a lot of shut shops, there could be a lot of empty streets sometimes, and you've just gone bang, it's like that. You actually haven't gone in through one of those doors and discovered. For instance, when we were out on our poetry walk on the Wednesday, we went into an organisation called Urban Hacks that operates in the very centre, on the bridge at Walsall, and it's a kind of young people's employment organisation, independent organisation. And actually, if you walk through the door of that little shop front, which is kind of just gently placed against the Co-op on one side and the Halifax on the other, you walk in and look at the side wall. They've put this incredible interactive poem or celebration of languages of all the nations that are represented in Walsall, that are represented in this world.
And it's through the diversity of the communities that we have throughout the whole Midlands. So Walsall being an inspiration here for the likes of Wolverhampton, Dudley and Tipton and beyond to continue the great work that they're doing. And it's great the way the Black Country and Wolverhampton councils all work together. And it's seeing what can come out of that. And it's through collaboration, and from collaboration from artists from around the region that can create some amazing work. I mean, Absolutely. Your poetry, I mean, where do you like to go to? What do you like to talk about when you're writing?
Oh, right. Okay. Well, I mean, I've got a quite diverse poetry that I take part in. I mean, I make no bones about it. I use poetry as a way of pushing a message. I believe this is a time when ordinary people, ordinary places are under a huge attack from their political leadership. I actually am very critical of the politics of the age, and the impact it's having both on Walsall and on the wider world. So you will see me at marches and protests with poetry in hand, because I believe that there's a huge strength in creative language and in those moments where you just hold everybody's gaze. So recently, with issues as diverse as food banks, and the outrageous way in which some politicians almost talk as though it's a celebration that we have got so many food banks, and people like me put out poems that actually absolutely criticize that dreadful point of view. And at the moment, with extraordinary policies on taking asylum seekers and rushing them off 6,000 miles away to some other country, when we should be handling that ourselves, and we should be looking after all their interests, that provides some of the motivation for my work. On the other hand, I write other stuff. I write things that reflect my family life, which I think a lot of poets would say that they follow. And then I might just do some local poems about the park, about the trees. In fact, I've got some in front of me if you actually wanted to hear any.
That'd be nice. Share something arboreal with us then.
Something arboreal. Okay. This is a poem actually performed the other day as well in the park, because I wrote it after a visit to the park many years ago. I went there with my children, obviously, and played with them. But I was in the park and I saw a grandfather, or could have been a father, just a little bit aged, and this little child, and they were playing on the swings. And I noticed that there was just a very beautiful little token left in the swing, which was a flower that the little child had popped into one of the links. And this poem, inspired in Walsall Arboretum, gives you an example of the sort of lighter arboreal type of poem I might write. This is called Single Flower on the Swing. On a walk in the park, we watched the proud father swinging his smiling child sky high. But the memory would have faded, but the moment passed if we hadn't seen a single flower placed carefully in the fifth link of the chain, moving in time with the gentle arc, with the careful push, that most precious cargo safe in laughter and delight. But the memory would have faded and the moment passed if we hadn't looked away for a moment, and on looking back found the child and the father had vanished, but the single flower was still fixed there, perhaps for them.
That is lovely, and it's a thought, the moment, and it's capturing that moment in words, and you do that so well. Where can we go to find your collections of work and see where you're going to be appearing next?
Right. Okay. Now, the real truth on me is that I'm a kind of a vagabond wanderer, and I have never, though I'm being asked by quite a few people, which is very flattering, when are you going to organise your poems, which are very varied and which people seem to enjoy in performance. But I actually don't have a collection of work other than my own personal collection, and so I'm working on it. That's a job in process.
Okay.
And I'm hoping to get back to organisations such as yourself to celebrate when that finally makes its appearance.
You'll be very welcome. That would be good to do.
And obviously, at the same time, I turn up at various poetry events. I was in Leamington recently and got the Poet of the Month for that particular group for a range of fairly assertive stuff there, very political stuff. But I tend to turn up or not turn up. People get me sometimes, or they say, is he here today? No, he isn't. I was at a great little pub in Walsall called the Fountain the other week, and just before the festival actually, and that was the first time I'd turned up at the fountain for many a long day, and I just felt very welcome, and they welcomed me. So I'm sort of not yet, if you like, what you call a branded article. Not that I would want to be that. I probably just want to be this old geezer who turns up sometimes, but has somehow found some words that resonate for people in the room. And I love listening to the words of others. I love the massive variety of creativity that I just experience when I walk into those rooms, into a small pub in Walsall, into a visitor centre at the Arboretum, knowing I'm going to be listening to a dozen other voices about words I haven't yet heard yet, and that's a magical trip. And I recommend more people took part in that and understood why there is a joy in poetry. That and you can catch it in a few lines, like with that poem Single Flower. Mm-hmm. It doesn't need, I write quite long narrative poems, but they take a bit more time and performance, and you need a bit of patience to watch it. But sometimes you need these short bursts, just delicate sort of sketches, and sometimes you find that's what people sort of buy into most. So yeah, that's where I am anyway, and I'm delighted to have had the chance to have a conversation about it. It's not often I actually put it together. And in a way, you've made me even more determined to actually get a collection together, so that then I can just say, well, it's over there, or you can get it there. And people can then say, I've read it, it's rubbish, or I've read it, and I'm glad I've got that book.
Well, fingers crossed that with the latter. When that happens, we will talk about it. For now, look out for the name Andy Summers on the bills or any poetry night you happen to be turning up to. Be ready to be inspired and, of course, to think just that little bit more. So, Andy, thank you for joining us.
Not at all. Cheers, mate. I really appreciate being given the space. And I must remember to be more than just a Facebook person under the name Andy Summers, or that's about it, really. I don't have any accessible thing. You have to go chasing if you're interested.
I think that's part of the joy, isn't it? It's always worth looking for something, and I think this is another opportunity to do that. Thanks again for joining us.
Cheers, mate.
Well, that's all for this week. Thank you so much for joining me. Back with episode 679 next week. I'll see you then. Ta-ra for now.
Goodbye from the milk bar. 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 Yeah. Goodbye from the milk bar.